Lots of people looking forward to spring break.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly Lunch and Learn to improve attendance. This is our March edition, and we're very grateful to have all of you join us. My name is Amir Alavi, and I work with chronic absenteeism reduction at the Riverside County Office of Education. Thank you for joining us. I also want to thank our partners in collaboration. Wendy Hall from the Shasta County Office of Education, Sherry Haney from the Butte County Office of Education, and Cecilia Leong from Attendance Works. And we're very grateful to have you all. We've got a great treat for you today. As usual, we're going to have some content and some information from our friends at Attendance Works. Then today we have Kathy Wirtz, who is the coordinator for student services from Desert Sands Unified School District here in Riverside County. Desert Sands is one of our very distinguished multiple model SARB recipient districts, and we're very grateful to have you here with us today, Kathy. So Cecilia, my friend, I hand it over to you, and thank you all again for joining us.
Thank you, Amir. It's so good to see everyone and just to have that positive beginning where we're all looking forward to better health, time off, time in beautiful places, and time with people we love. It's really wonderful to hit that point in spring. So today I have a few resources to share with you. Let me put this in slideshow mode. We wanted to share our revised spring attendance toolkit. And in the toolkit, one of the revisions is a new letter for families. And this is that you can take and tailor for your school districts and your schools if you haven't already had spring break. We wanted to make the letter short, to the point, really reminding families, as you see in the bolded dates here, when spring break begins and when it ends. We really wanted to be acknowledging of the hard times people have gone through, but appreciating everyone's hard work and commitment to continue learning. And then, as you'll see, there are some yellow highlights there. This is where you can tailor for your districts. Is there something that you or your schools might want to offer to welcome everyone back and increase attendance on that first day back? Are there some supports you want to offer to your families that may be helpful during spring break? So basic needs or emergency contacts for mental health issues, for example. So it's a short, simple letter, but we try to make it positive and encourage attendance while acknowledging that we are in the midst of a pandemic. So that's one piece of the revised toolkit. And before I share more about the toolkit, I would be curious if you would share in chat when you think about an activity that gets you totally engaged, right? Kathy was just talking about the folk art camp. But for me, it's things like music, or movement or dance. You might have something else. What gets you totally engaged? If you wouldn't mind sharing in the chat. And Kathy, maybe you could help. Would you read what people are saying?
Absolutely.
People engaged.
So, oops. I'm still waiting for entries, but in the meantime, Terrence was asking about whether the letter was now currently available in the toolkit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you go. And Elizabeth says hands-off activities, things that help her to get to know other people. Vanessa agrees dance. Sharma says music. Terrence, DIY projects. I have to share that love. I have to myself. Rachel, she's engaged when the topic is appealing. She also loves the arts and music for sure. Another music, sports, helping
Yay.
others, topics relevant to need, music, lots of music people here.
So this is great. So I'm going to change the topic a little. What have you noticed about your students? What gets them totally engaged? Last time I asked this question, someone said TikTok. What have you noticed about your students that gets them totally engaged? And Kathy, if you could help me again, I'd appreciate it. World's smallest laptop screen here.
And I was trying to submit my own, so I was going to say opportunities for social engagement and technology. And let's see, oh, now some other ones are coming through. For students, social media, technology, giving them a voice, hands-on activities, physical activities, things to make for other people. Tia says learning by doing. Rachel says her former students loved movement games like Kahoot and GimKit. I'm familiar with Kahoot. Don't know. I use the GimKit. I'll have to check that one out. Relevant topics. They're engaged when they can talk about what they care about. Dance and sports.
Yeah, so there's some overlap, but there's also some things that are unique to our students, right? So the reason I asked you to think about this is when you're planning those special events, right? Think about what really engages students, what would make them show up. And it would have the elements of the full engagement that you're talking about, right? Like my mother is totally engaged by crocheting, but I doubt that an 18-year-old is going to be that excited. So some of the other things that you listed might be more appropriate. Okay, in the toolkit, we also upgraded our ideas for special events for you as well. The link to the handout is there. You'll get all these slides. I suspect some of you are on the Attendance Works website downloading already, but we really wanted to emphasize those activities that are outdoors, given that we're still at the tail end of an epidemic, a pandemic, that lets people move, have fun, have field days. We want to emphasize the connection with learning. So connecting with Earth Day, Pi Day, school spirit is always great. Appreciations of staff are always great. And then you might even consider in that last day before school or the spring break or the first day after, maybe meeting some of those basic needs. You know, we put in the toolkit pantry pickups, but I'm thinking, wow, if you offered me a gas card today with what's happening out there, I'd show up, right? So think about those things and take the ideas that we offer to help supplement whatever you're doing. I also wanted to let you know that we are kicking off the 2022 Attendance Awareness Campaign. As always, we offer strategic messaging, community level action and engagement for Attendance Awareness Month, as well as national and local events. So amazingly, it's our 10th campaign. We invented something we never thought would grow this big, right? And as always, we offer you resources on the Attendance Awareness Campaign microsite that you can use to promote the campaign in your local community. So make sure you sign up for that if you aren't on there already, and share with your new newer colleagues to the field. Our theme this year is stay connected, keep learning. Okay, and it's applicable to students and families as well as staff. Our webinar registrations just opened, and if you go to the webinar tab on the Attendance Works website, you can register for each of the 4 webinars that are coming up. And April 6th is going to be really exciting. I've seen the lineup and stellar people, including National Summer Learning Association. So keep kids engaged and show up for learning, relationships, routines, and partnerships. Okay, that's it from me. Trying to keep it short and sweet so that we really have plenty of time for Desert Sands, the featured guest today. Back to you, Amir.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, and love that spring letter. The more outreach and contact we have to build community, the better. And thank you for sharing the wonderful resources on your toolkit. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Attendance Works, but every time I go on their site, I'm just amazed at the amount of resources they have. So please feel free to refer to it anytime. And now it's a real pleasure to introduce my good friend and a colleague who I've had the pleasure of working with for many years now, Kathy Wirtz, who's our coordinator of student services. over in Desert Sands Unified School District and our CWA. And thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us today. Desert Sands is one of our model SARB school districts. They've received the distinction many times, and we're very excited to have you. And I've made you a co-host, my friend, so take it away. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Amir. And it's good to see. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some new people, and I even see some familiar faces from afar that I don't think I've seen, since Casqua days. So that's kind of fun as well. So I'm Kathy Wirtz. I'm with again, CWA coordinator here at Desert Sands. And for those of you not familiar with Desert Sands, we're located kind of right in the middle of Riverside County. We span the cities, if you're familiar with the area, pretty much from Indio to Palm Desert. We have a little sliver of Coachella Valley, or sorry, of the city of Coachella, and a little sliver of Ranch Mirage. We currently have a very diverse group of students, and currently a little under 27,000. Spreading across 31 different school sites. And as you can see, about a little over 20% of them are English language learners. And socioeconomically, we have everything from students coming from multi-million-dollar homes to farm labor camps. So again, a very diverse group. Some of the things we've been looking at lately, though, that just under 27,000, when I started this work in 2015, the 14-15 school year, that number was significantly higher. And like we've seen, I think across the state with many of the districts, a slow decline, and then a little more significant with COVID. So even pre-COVID, we were on the downward trend. I will say that this right here, that 1920 year there, it looks like we had a significant dip, but that was really impacted by some changes to neighboring districts. We didn't receive quite as many inter-district transfers. So if we would have gone along with our projected seabeds, you can see that it really was that 2021 school year where we lost a good number of students. That decline got a little steeper. Then taking a look at that, where they're going, a large majority are going to online charter schools, public charters. In fact, we just ran the numbers recently, and we're continuing to lose students to online public charters mid-school year. So we're trying to take a look at that. Some of them going to homeschool, as I know we've discussed even within this group and other groups I've been to, some parents choosing to homeschool, and then some of them also moving out of the state. In addition to that, as no surprise, like many of you here, we've been struggling with our attendance, the students that are enrolled, getting them to come to school. And we do certainly still look to chronic absenteeism, but because of the impact of quarantine and isolation, we've been looking at chronic truancy, 10% of unexcused, as kind of our one of the measures we look at a little more closely, because it's pulling out the students that have those excused absence that are primarily COVID related. So we do see, compared to our last full school year, quite a bit of an increase, although interestingly enough, our students with special needs or students with disabilities have a slightly lower chronic truant rate. I'm so used to saying chronic absence, it's hard not to have it roll off your tongue. And our foster youth, which was an area we really targeted at the end of the 18-19 school year for chronic absenteeism, is significantly improved as well. So that was exciting to see, but overall, our students are missing school, not just because of COVID related concerns, that there are a lot of different things that are happening out there with them. And then of course, taking a peek at ADA as well. This is looking at 1920. I ran it through but pre-shut off. So I want to say it was middle of February. I should have put the date on the slide. So it wasn't quite when COVID was in the air yet. I know we dropped off a little bit, but I recall it was funny when I was looking at these numbers. I remember at the time looking at Riverside County, it was a particularly difficult flu year, and we had seen a dip, and we thought these were low numbers. And I was putting reports together for the board. But again, you can see the current school year, there's just absolutely no comparison. And then what's really shocking is to see how Omicron, hit the district. And I know working with some of my colleagues, they've had the same experience. We had high schools at 50% absence rate during those January, February months. So significant impacts. So thinking about all this and trying to think, well, what is working on engaging our students, keeping them in school, re-engaging them? And It would be great if there was a 5-step process, or if there was a program we could purchase. But really the reality is, it really is an intentional, strategic, across the department or cross departmental. It's not just a CWA attendance thing. It really involves everybody and all the different departments and school sites to increase that student engagement and student outcomes. So like all of you, or probably most of you, right, this work really begins with the LCAP. Prior to LCFF, Desert Sands had a very active strategic plan. It was alive. There we had regular meetings. It was regularly reviewed with multiple stakeholders. So when the LCAP requirement came along, we were kind of already doing that in a way, so it worked out well. And we had 3 main pillars of our strategic plan, and those became our 3 primary goals of our LCAP. So around that is where we separate out, and that we have all of our different target areas divided into those 3 goals. And those are supported by initiatives such as our dedication to leverage technology. We have a leadership academy, which is an intensive program that not just administrators, but a good number of attendees are classroom teachers. It's an 18-month program where there's 2 full days every single month, where they dive deep working with an outside program and really look at what makes for effective educational systems. And all of that, of course, is embedded within the framework of the multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS. So really one of the, and then forgot a layer there, I got a little excited. But a big focus as well is the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle. And that's a very active activity, not, again, at the district level, at the site level, even when you look all the way down to the teacher teaming levels as well. That's a regular process that you see in their activities when they're looking at improving effectiveness. And then, so again, all of this kind of falls into our components and the areas that we've identified as being our primary factors, our initiators for multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS. And so I think this all sounds very familiar to probably everybody here. And when I first started to put together the presentation, I was pulling in some flow charts and how our tiers work and how our referrals work and some of the success we've had at school sites. But I think I've seen some great programs, and I love that, but I also love it when I can walk away from something and have something I can start tomorrow. So I kind of kept having that feeling in the back of my mind, like, no, I really need to talk about that deep work. And then I got brave yesterday and just said, you know what, I chucked it. And so I reached out to Amir, and, it is important to do that deep strategic work, but that's something that takes time. It's a big effort, and it is absolutely the foundation of everything you do. But I also think it's worthwhile to stop and grab some of those easy things to do. And I love, Cecilia, you had some ideas right there. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. While we're on our path, what are some easy, accessible things that really can make an impact? I don't have the slide here, but a lot of times I talk about attendance being on a continuum, right? And we focus on, like that bell curve, we focus on the 2 ends. We recognize the super attenders, and we get really focused on the strongly, the significantly disengaged students. Important work on both ends, but sometimes we forget that most of our students tend to hang out in the middle, right? They're that mildly chronically absent. And those students, some of these really easy things can help shift their attendance. They're the most receptive group, so we don't want to forget them. And so some of that tier 1, tier 2 work that we do can really make an impact. So my thought today is, I have a couple ideas I'm going to share. And then hopefully you're not, already a little tired from too many carbos at lunch, because then we're going to get into breakout rooms and we're going to have you share some ideas as well. So the goal is, at the end of it, we're going to have a nice little toolkit that we can share out afterwards with everybody's ideas to help again, it's lunch and learn. So I did this for selfish reasons too, because I want to hear your ideas. So here are a few of my favorite and easy things. So I'll start first and go be easy. One of the things that I love and find so useful in conversations with school sites and for the school sites doing their tier 1 work are ADA calendars. So this is something that we created. It's all it is a fancy Excel sheet. And again, we'll send out this presentation right on the bottom here. I've linked to the template. So if you want to adapt it for your, for your district, for your site, these kinds of tools are so helpful. If you can pull a list of your number of school day and the percent, that percent that were in attendance that day. So there's a number of ways you can do that. Then you can use this sheet, and I'd be happy to sit with whoever to help them navigate and figure it out. But again, just seeing that by day just really helps highlight the particularly strong days of attendance and those days that pop out. And I love particularly when you're starting with new principals or with new teams, tier 1 teams, I often will start the conversation in May, because May is when schools are often focusing on attendance, and forever they've been working on getting the kids to school to take the test, right? That's something very familiar to them. They understand that it's accessible. And I just love how in May, whether you're a school that has a little easier time with attendance or one that struggles, in an instant, you can tell exactly which days those schools were testing, right? It just pops out to you so significantly. And so that helps start the conversation of, well, what were you doing on those days? And how might that be tweaked to other days at different times in the school year when to help promote attendance? Because sometimes it feels overwhelming and inaccessible. So I like to try and tap into what's something that you already do and how can we apply it somewhere else? One of the things the schools already do that also comes to highlight with the ADA calendars is some kind of end of the year countdown. So again, whether you're in a lot of our, about half of our elementaries, I'm hoping more will adopt it, do an ABC countdown where the last day of school is Z, which is, zip up your backpack and go home. But it will be, G, it'll be game day where students can bring a game to school, or B, a book day and you bring your favorite book, and P is pajama day, wear your pajamas to school. And it really, when you look at the attendance, and again, I use the ADA calendars, you really see a significant difference between the schools that do the countdowns or don't do the countdowns. And that's even with, higher performing attendance schools, such as this one here. You can even see a difference there for the schools that have some kind of activity all the way through the end of the year. And if you think, I always wonder how many chronic absence students fall into the chronic absence rate right at the end of the year, right? When so many students are missing school. Something else that was started, again, it's been such a funky time because the message this year has been stay home. So a lot of these ideas are things that we found successful back in 1920. And this one, yes, it was, we had it in February of 2020, so right under the wire. But there was a number of school sites we did sessions and found them incredibly helpful, of small, manageable, targeted attendance challenges. And really looking at that absence rate of about around 15%. So 12 to 15 when you get your list of kids, your students, figuring out what that looks like, and only about 20 to 30 students. If it gets too big, it feels overwhelming, maybe not so manageable. But start small, and then as you can have success, grow it. But in planning incentives, making sure that you're interviewing students first. We got some of the best ideas from our students as free, easy things to implement. Making sure we're discussing with teachers as well, so that teachers have buy-in. If we're going to offer something, the teachers are going to honor it. And then again, we have some sample, if anybody ever wants to email me, I can send out some sample presentations. We brought all the students in and kind of had like a little mini pep rally with them, explained the challenge. We gave them a sheet for tracking. We had a packet to explain to parents. Parents were supposed to sign and return the sheet. We didn't want parents to be a barrier, so it wasn't a requirement, but ideally we'd get those sheets back so it gets that conversation happening at home. And then ideally too, setting the students up with an adult mentor was helpful for check-in to help them stay on track. I have to say it was both touching and heartbreaking. I was at one of the school sites where they were introducing the challenge. I was there observing the back of the room, and there are two boys that were so excited as this was coming around. And I talked to the assistant principal afterwards, and I was kind of commenting on the two boys. And I guess they were 8th graders, and all 3 years that they had been at the school, they had never been eligible for any of the special activities. And so, this was the first time that they had an opportunity that they felt like they could actually access and, you know, win something and achieve it. And it was both heartbreaking and touching at the same time, but just thinking about how some of our students really don't have that opportunity. So keeping it nice and short. And then of course, doing post challenge follow-ups to make sure that attendance doesn't drop off. But, you know, a couple of quick examples in the presentation, we had student level information about why attendance matters. What can you do to help, you know, meet this challenge? And again, the prizes don't have to be anything big or fancy or anything anybody donates, right? Front of the line lunch passes in a middle school, holy moly. And to not have to get a free mile pass, right? The PE teachers, oh, they'll love that, sitting out there and watching the other kids run. So just really easy, free ideas. This school did choose to do a luncheon. One of the elementary schools, the PTO just wanted to sponsor with a popsicle party, but they can be small little things, even at the secondary level. I think we get lots of easy ideas for elementary, but that's where you get the student interviews. And we found incredible results with the students that participate across multiple campuses. So that was exciting. Another one of my favorite things, again, this last year I was have not been doing as much, but I'm working my bank up, is pre-creating a whole bank of social media posts, right? I am not a big social media person, and or even when I promise myself I'm going to stay on top of it. It is so easy to get distracted in the craziness of the day-to-day work during the school year. So I've been working on creating a whole large bank for the entire school year of just little bits, and some of them are repeat messages, and they all have the same format. So when they see them come through, they know that that's an attendance piece. I did do this before the shutdown, before messaging changed a little bit. And our district is Twitter heavy, but a lot of the school sites would take this and then post it on their different various social media platforms that they use to communicate with their local families. So, you know, some of them are things like little facts, little tips. What is chronic absenteeism? I've said it 12 different ways, probably throughout different pieces, and some ideas about, hey, don't forget to schedule your doctor's appointment. Sometimes it's going to be research, but all of these are, they're static things. So all the extra things I can add, like the great stuff that comes from Attendance Works, I love to be able to just retweet, makes my life easier. but these are things that'll stay timely throughout the year. And my big secret weapon, again, I'm not a social media person, but if you have not looked at TweetDeck, you can schedule your tweets. So in like the end of July, I'm going to take all of these and schedule them to go out I was doing Monday, Wednesday, so twice a week. And then they automatically go out whether I get busy or not. And it's funny when again, pre-shutdown was doing this, and some assistant principals like, oh, I love your tweets. And, I would tell them that, and they would just be shocked that I don't even have to think about it. It's automatic. So one last thing that I recently added, I think probably by now a lot of you may have seen Padlets or familiar with Padlet, and trying to get some communication and helps school sites regularly be able to access some of the tools that we often find ourselves sharing, communicating. I created a Padlet and added it to my email signature line. So every single email, sometimes people have stumbled across it, or if they ask about something, I let them know it's there. And so for those of you not familiar with Padlet, it's kind of like a little electronic bulletin board. So all of these, there might be links. As you can see, I've got some handouts, some support tools for tier 1 teams, or maybe principals, assistant principals working on some site level pieces, presentations. There's presentations for families, for students, SART presentations, some of the common handouts we use during SART, websites. We do work with Rawi. Thank you. Randy, if you're still there, awesome. Thank you. So some supports are available for them. So this is really helpful. I found this really helpful as well. And the school sites are using more of the materials than when I put them anywhere else by having them in my email line. So that was a lot of talking. Let's see, well, we're good on time. We're 12:30. Those are some of my favorite things. And now I'm going to ask for you all to share some of yours. And this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to try and keep it quick. But what's going to happen is in just a minute, we're going to open up some breakout rooms. And then you guys will go into groups about 4 to 5 each, depending on how many are in your room, and maybe share something. If anyone has an idea of something that's easy, quick, tangible, maybe even something you've thought about and haven't done, share those ideas. And then in your group, if you can capture at least one, I'm going to show you in a minute a slide that is prepared for you. You're going to capture one on the slide. So what'll happen is round one, you're going to click on the link. I'm going to put in the chat. And then you see, you're going to go to a slide that has your room number. So most important thing, when you go in your breakout room, don't just click join, look at what room number you're on. At least somebody in your group needs to look at what room number you're on. Because when you go to the slide, you're going to click on the link there. Let me show you the slide. So when you click on that link, you're going to get a slide like this. Who's in your group? We want to know who all these great ideas came from. And also, as you'll see, we'll be looking at each other's ideas, who we can reach out to if we want some more ideas or to get some more information. Give whatever your idea is a name, put a little description in there. If you have anything to share, like some kind of document and there's a link, great. If not, no worries. This is not a big project. Literally, I just popped like the Padlet idea, right? The last one that we just saw, the idea was put a Padlet link in the email signature, create a Padlet with attendance resources. You know, Mira and I worked on this together, and here's a link to the Padlet. So we're going to get into groups. You're going to find the slide for your breakout room, and then you're going to see what you can come up with as a group and put an idea on the slide. Are we good? You didn't know you were going to have to work, huh? Are you doing email in the background? I'm going to have to bring you back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put you into groups. I'm going to stop sharing for a second here. Oh, there they are. So we're going to open the rooms. Don't forget to look and see what room you're in. And you've got 7 minutes. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, hold up. I forgot I did have another slide. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself now. I got to go share my screen again. I had one more slide because I wanted to make sure. I'm going to now put the slide deck link in there into the chat. And I want you to go ahead and open that before you get into your rooms. That way we know someone's in there, hopefully in your group. So in the chat, you're going to see a link to the slide. Oh, I'm seeing lots of people pop on. Someone is an anonymous axolotl. My daughter is obsessed with those things. I don't know if you know what it is. It is a Mexican salamander with little fringy things on it. Everything is axolotl for her for like 3 years now. She was very excited when that little guy came up on Chrome. Okay, we got lots of, oh, you guys are good. Just in case you missed it, there it is. Okay, now I'm going to open the break room. Check your break room number. So go ahead, if you haven't already, join a breakout room. Oops, I better pause this guy here if you're still with me. This is where you always see who got busy. I'm not surprised to see Larry on here. Oh, he joined a room. Okay, just right when I was going to call him out. Oh, no, he is still there. I thought I saw him. He must have just jumped around. 2. So I hit we're back in recording, but I hit the close room button. So they'll start to pop back in and then the rooms will all shut in about 50 seconds. And then we're going to do a little gallery walk.
Mhm.
In fact, you know what? Let me go ahead and share my screen while we're waiting. They must be having fun because not very many of them are coming back by themselves.
Active learning is the best.
Hopefully that's good conversations.
Mhm.
They're down. They only have 12 seconds left. There we go. Hello, everyone.
There's nothing in our slide.
You still have time to sneak it in.
PIQE.com.
Hopefully